Show the fuck up.
I love how you made me wait for like literally an hour, and then you're like, and
Hold
I was
on,
like,
hold on. I can't hear a fucking thing you're saying. What?
I like how you made me wait.
Oh my god, this isn't plugged in. You love me. You love me so fucking much.
Oh my god. I love how you made me wait for like an hour. And then you were like, oh my god, I can really tell you're filmed because of all the fucking, stop fucking around. Like, hurry up and wait shit.
I don't. Hey. You shut the fuck up.
Teen Girl Squad! Cheerleader! So-and-so! What's your face? The ugly one!
Real quick, let me go close this, get these goddamn cats out of my room.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I'll just... Feline, the cats, they don't know how to just slide through a cracked door. They have to, like, push open the cracked door, like, hey. Like, I have to make an entrance. I like your shirt.
Thanks. Who's my best friend?
No, I have to say it first because
okay.
I have to end it with bitch.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna say who's my best friend, you're gonna say me, and then you're gonna say who's my best friend, I'm gonna say me, bitch, and then that'll be like...
Are you ready to start, by the way?
Yeah. Oh shit, no, it's not. Okay. Who's my best friend?
It's me. Who's my best friend?
Me, bitch! Welcome to episode, I don't remember what number we're on.
2.
Of the Ken and Darby Dreamhouse podcast.
Yeah, welcome to episode 2. All right, I'm not having this thing on my whole head.
Is this episode 2? I think we
it's
did
episode
like 3.
2. Well, this is, we like restarted it. We did like one that was like...
After our hiatus of...
Yeah.
After one episode, yeah.
Well,
okay,
we did
right,
one that
sure.
was just about like takes, like hot takes. It was like a hot takes podcast. And then like...
Yeah, bad format. Didn't like that. Whose idea was that? Yours.
Yeah, I liked it, and I still think it'd be fun.
It's okay.
But yeah, well, I don't know. Hot takes have like... I think we started it right at the time where it was like hot takes were like the most entertaining thing about Twitter. And then as time has gone on, it's become like less relevant because, you know, you sort of hear all the shocking things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've also just my... what did I say? I was like, I'm not even scared of fluoride in my water, like crystallizing my pineal gland because I can feel like I'm tripping balls anytime I step on the timeline and reaching people's bullshit takes.
Jesus
It's true,
Christ.
though. I don't need to do psychedelics. I can just read what you all write when you're on psychedelics. I think I get the picture.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. So yeah, it's been a minute. It's been like, well, like
Since March.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like
it's been a minute.
yeah, shit's been like crazy. I feel like, well, for me especially.
Shit's been, I feel like it's been crazy. No, I mean, for both of us, we've both been, like, this is probably the least we talked to each other in all the time that we've been friends because we've just both been so booked in on opposite schedules.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
Which is a lot for us.
Yeah.
So who wants to update first? Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, let's both give like the short version of what we're doing, and then like the long version of like what we've
Okay.
been doing, because we've been doing a lot. But basically,
director.
like, so March was Vibe Camp, and then in April, I got hired for a feature film, and I was just like a PA or whatever. But I basically immediately started working 60-hour work weeks minimum for like that was actually like a guaranteed minimum too. It was like my boss was like, "Hey, if you're not getting your 60 hours, you can tell me, and I'll have you stay later. I can have things for you to do in the office." And I said, "I'm good. I think I need sleep more at this point." but yeah, so I was basically working on that, and then right after I got off that, I had like a week break, and then I got into this 19-day stretch that I posted about where I didn't have a single planned day off, even though I ended up having like 2 of those days off. So I've been working in the movie business this whole time, and yeah. You know how the business is. It's super busy, super stressful, but it's all worth it,
Very glamorous. April, was the month where I called into work a lot because I was taking trips to my test readers and making like at near gunpoint, like being like, tell me what you think, give me your edits, to like multiple people. And then I brought the book back and did like my very last round of edits in early May, I want to say around it. And then I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay, it's like done. It's done. And then I started the self-publishing process, which was way more I know people told me it was kind of complicated and I listened, I think, but I didn't quite, I don't know, like absorb how much it was going to be, like where you're trying to resize covers and you're talking to this person, talking to that person. And it's a whole thing. And then in June on Wednesday, June 11th, a date that will forever be, remembered as not that important. I actually released the book on social media and it's been cool. I mean, it's yeah, that's a short version.
Yeah, nice.
Look at us. I should probably have a copy of it somewhere to gesture at, but I don't. I don't know where any of my copies are at.
Okay, well, it's been a good podcast. I'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah, honestly, that's the way we do things around here.
Yeah. I don't know, like, what do you want to talk about first? I feel like I've been, like, in my head, I was like, oh, yeah, well, we're also making a short film for the Louisiana Film Prize. So, and that's going to happen in 12 days, I think. So,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Got a lot to do, but
No, it's a lot to do, but we've done worse for less. On less.
Yeah. It's not as bad as that time we had to reschedule because of coronavirus. Because
that was...
It was like the whole state of Louisiana. It was like, I think it was... The way I understood it and that people communicated it to me was that you weren't allowed to, like, be in public doing things unless you had, like, a reason. Or, like, it would... And, like, I think all filming, like, shut down. And all, all events were shooting down. So I was like, well, if it's illegal, I guess we can reschedule, but...
Yeah, and we didn't even move it. We had to move it back, like, a month and then reset everything. That was a nightmare.
Yeah. It was,
and also we were getting people in from other sides of the country, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess, Maria.
Hi, Feline.
Hi. Oh my God. But yeah, I would say, and this one I think is, with us having like limited locations and stuff, I'm not nearly as worried about this one as I have been about. Listen, I love you so much. I give you so much attention when we're not on camera, but you always show up to make me look bad. She shows up to be like, I want attention when I'm on camera. Like, it's as though solely to make me look like a bad mother. Oh my God, you're so cute, though.
She's so cute.
What do you want?
I was on when I was on like a set for like one of the indie features I was doing sound for. Every time I would go into the bathroom, there would like be the cats locked in there, and I would like each time I would like pet them and like turn on the water faucet for them so they could drink running water.
Don't establish that bad habit. That's why this one won't drink out of her cat fountain.
Well,
and she just screams at me in the shower.
Well, one of them was already like looking and like nosing around the faucet. So, besides, it can never be traced back to me.
Yeah, she's a right monster when it comes to running water. If I even get water out of the tap, she like is like right there. Like, hey, Mom, cool. I like to drink out of that. It's a nightmare.
Oh, you're washing your hands in my drinking water? That's I'll let you go this time, but
do we want to talk movie, you, me first?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about myself right this second, so let's talk about you.
Well, great, because I'm always in the mood to talk about me. So
this is why our friendship works.
Yeah. We're Jesus Christ, narcissistic blonde extroverts and just play well together. Fuck, I don't even know what to talk about.
So, okay.
I did it.
So when did you...
Help me. Interview me.
This is so much easier when there's like a third person, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Note
Anyway,
to self.
next time we're going to get more people on. This isn't going to be like because I feel like guests are like...
thing. Yeah, probably not.
Nicer, yeah, but this one, it's like, we're both really busy, just want to kind of throw something together, but yeah. So when did you start writing poetry?
So I started writing poetry when
I'm interviewing you, by the way. This is like...
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, like, good interview questions. So
Thank you. Good. You are very good at this. I actually was going to ask if you would do an interview for me at some point, and then I just decided to do the talk-along video that I haven't done yet. What's up? But I started... I first remember, like, reading it and stuff, like, in, like, late grade school. I mean, not a great thing. But like, we were like studying it or whatever, and I remember being like, I really like this. It's a shame that everybody's so bad at it though. And because I took to it immediately. Like I wanted to write it more of it, and like, you know, I was like the kid who was like, hey teacher, would you like to read a poem that I wrote? Is it good? You know, like that kind of stuff. And into junior high, we would do poetry and stuff in English, and I really liked it, and I started kind of writing a little bit by myself, but nothing that you know. Write home about. High school didn't do anything of it, but then in college I wrote like, I don't know, I think it was like 2 or 3 poems my freshman year, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like an artist. And
wasn't it like more though?
No, we're getting there. Okay. And then my sophomore year, I was like, you know, I think I could write more poetry if I just made myself do one every day. And
okay.
I was like, okay, for this year, I'll do one every day for the year. And I didn't get to 365. I got to like 100 or like 99. But that was about like 97 more than I would have written otherwise. So still a big banner year for me in the writing department. So I ended up it was difficult to like screenshot it or something and like send it to my friends that way. So I put up like a little Blogspot blog and would just send the link to my friends. And that turned out to be like a really good way to do it because everybody could just check it at their own leisure and stuff. And I had to take the blog down when I published this. It made me so sad. I mean, it was from like 2016.
Oh, wow. Is there like still a saved copy on your blogger? Did you just like private it, or can you like...
No, I had to delete it.
It's like gone forever.
Yeah, but I saved all the poems from it.
Well, yeah, but I was saying, you know, if you had talked to me, you could have like saved like a web archive or something.
Look at me.
So you could kept the.
Do you think I know what that
comments.
Is?
I know what that is. I'm just.
I probably should have asked, but
as your consultant.
I just nuked it and I was like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. But I was very sad to see it go, especially since, you know, a lot of my friends, like, that was the first place they ever like read any of my writing. But it was, you know, ripped to a real one. But
it's just like 50 Shades of Grey. You got to nuke all the fan fiction versions, you know?
Yeah, you gotta DMCA take down those hoes. Yeah, terrible. But it was last year I had a really shit year. I think that's everybody that knows me should know that, I think, by this point. Mm-hmm. But I wrote like the first one in July, and then I kind of wrote a few more in August. It started like kind of trickling in. Like I realized I kind of wanted to write again. And then I want to say circa like October, I was like, I think I might have enough here to publish. And then I looked through my blog and I was like, I don't like enough of these to publish. Like I wouldn't publish all of these. Like I was like, yeah, I was like, I've got moments here and there, but I don't love all of them. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I can just write, you know, 60 more, 50, you know, however many. I ended up writing more like 70 more after all was said and done, and then supplemented with a few from my blog. So the book is like 70% new material and then like 20% maybe old material, somewhere in that neighborhood. And
like I don't think you included all of the new poems in your book, did you?
No, I still got some stuff that I didn't use. And one of the things that I did like throughout this process that I'd never done before, which I mean, I've never done anything like this, but Stephen King always says it's like a bad idea to keep a notebook of ideas because that's a great way to immortalize bad ideas.
Oh, and yeah.
I'm going to have to formally disagree with him here because, at least in the sake of poetry, maybe not for like story ideas, but I sort of...
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I understand. Next question.
Okay.
No, I get it, so we can move on. But no, like yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I ended up like saving, because, you know, poetry never comes to me like, usually I don't sit down and write the whole thing in like one quick fell swoop. Well, yes, I do. That's not what I meant. What do I mean? Okay. It's more like occasionally, you'll just hear like a thought or like a line or maybe like a rhyme that you really like, and you can't like think of what the rest of the poem is. So when I got to I think hit about the young lady. I've had enough of you today. Do you hear me? It's so hard being a single mom.
Oh my god, every time the cat jumps on me, I get cat hair on my tits and I have to keep brushing it off. It's so annoying.
You're so fucking
I'm gonna
mean
lock
to
the
me.
cats out of my room, but not really.
I show up every day and be nice to you and just up your self-confidence is how you fucking treat me.
Yeah, I'm selling a book of poetry about my feelings.
My shirt says Barbie Dream Dumpster. Did you catch that?
I can't actually read it on my screen, but that's amazing.
Hold on. I don't even know how she did what she did.
She heard we were discussing putting her out of the room, and she figured she better got all of her bad antics out of the way.
All her bullshit out, yeah. Oh my god, help me. I'm so pale.
Anyways, I'm wearing a Cowboy Bebop shirt.
And I know, I love that shirt. It's one of my favorite things you own.
It's one of my favorite things I own. I think my sister got it for me for my birthday.
It's not a competition.
Oh.
Okay, all right, is everything still, yeah, all right.
But yeah, so Stephen King, fragments, he thinks you should immortalize bad ideas.
So I would actually save little fragments here and there when they would show up. I mean, sometimes it was like a whole poem, but I wasn't really sure I was done with it. And these like pages were initially like a couple pages scribbled on a notebook, and then eventually it became like 30 and 40 page documents. And I would, if I used an idea, I would just like black it out and keep it, and then, so that way I could unblack it later if I want to make sure I'd used it or something. But I ended up, some of those poems actually are some of my, that are born from those little like drabbles, are some of my favorite poems in the book, which is something that, I don't know if I would, Megna, Lady on Fire, talks about she never edits while she writes. Like, she just basically stream of consciousness. I love her too. I die for her. She just like barfs everything out and then goes back and like, settles it. And I can't quite do that because I'll lose track of myself. But she's just better at this than me. But when I get a couple lines out, then you get something moving. And sometimes, you aren't like, you have an idea or an image, but you aren't quite ready to like, you don't know what you want to say about it yet. Like, you don't even know what it means. And there's this kind of funny thing whereas like most like prose or essay writing or whatever feels very conscious. You're kind of like having to explain how one thought gets to the next. Yeah. Poetry doesn't really require that of you as much. It's a little bit more like, it can be a little bit more disjointed and a little more like freeform and weird. And so you can just kind of let her rock in a way that you kind of can't do with other stuff. And that was like something that I had a lot of fun with this. And another thing I learned was, writers talk about like the editor that lives in your head, and you got to like turn him off, because some of my favorite poems started as like a goofy exercise as a warm up to do something else, like Gunslinger, which is I think one of the coolest poems I've ever, like the country song that everybody likes. Like that one, I was like, this is too like trite and twee. Like nobody's gonna like this.
It's like
every single person that
the song Earl got. No, what's the song about Earl?
Earl had to die.
Earl had to die.
Goodbye,
yeah.
Earl.
Yeah.
It's very that. Yeah. It's very Big Iron. It's got big iron energy. And I love it. And it's funny, though, because I was like, nobody's going to like this one. Everybody across the board was like, if you take this one out, I'm going to be so fucking mad at you. So I was like, okay. That's why we have test readers. And I think Ballad of Barbara Jean was that, too. It was just kind of like, let me just see if I can write, like, about, like, some woman. A Ballad of Barbara Jean, I think, it might be the best book it might be the best poem in the book, maybe. I don't know. Not 100% sure. I'm not a doctor. But, it's certainly probably one of my favorites.
Tell us your opinion in the comment section below.
If you've read my book, please send me screenshots and tell me what you thought. Yeah. No, but I mean, legitimately, I am really excited to see
because you'll retweet all of them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I will retweet anybody who talks about my book.
If you want the hot girl retweet, just, if you want to shill.
It's like it was funny because I kind of got to the end of the process, and you know how authors always say, like, I would have written it even if nobody ever read it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, Yeah, I probably would have too in this case. Like writing this was super cathartic and helped me, come to grips with a lot of stuff. But at the same time, I also really, really, really have enjoyed hearing people talk about it. Not even in like a sort of like self-serving way, but it's like, it's really interesting there were poems that my test readers loved that I didn't even think were like, I thought they were almost like filler poems maybe. I was like, and some of the ones that I really liked, people are like, who gives a shit? So it's like really interesting. And also, people like, I believe it was Stephen Fan, like, I think read one of my poems that I posted on Twitter, and like a month later was like, I'm still thinking about an image from this poem. And that like touched me so much. I was so like glad to hear that. That's the kind of stuff that when you're like creating art is like, if somebody has some kind of emotional reaction, like that's the point.
Yeah. Like
I still think about your all, masturbatory emotional processing. It's a magnanimous masturbatory emotional processing. But it really is like it was a really, really fun experience to write. Not a very fun experience to publish, but it has been like really, really rewarding, and it makes me want to write the next one like already, which won't happen for a minute. I need to consume rather than create for a little bit and sort of take a break, but it does feel loverly.
Does the so like the self-publishing process, it's taken you a long time and it's been like, really difficult. Do you think it would be, how much easier do you think it would be like the second time around?
Much. The writing thing, I like knew how to do that part. I didn't know how to be my own boss quite. I was a little bit too heavy of a taskmaster. I think you were the one who was like, at one point you were like, 3 people have died. This happened to you, this happened to you, this happened to you. Your publisher, if they were a real person, would not be mad at you for not writing every single day like you are mad at yourself right now. And I was like, that's a very good point.
Yeah. Because you were like a psycho. You were like, I have to get these poems done by the new year. And I'm like, why? And you're like, I don't know. I just feel like it. And I'm like, what a bad things have happened for you to be this hard,
mad at yourself.
Yeah.
I did get better at that as time went on, and I started like, I was like, okay, if today's a day when I really just like don't even have the energy to open up an email.
Yeah.
Today I'm not doing it. Today I'm just taking the L. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like the Southern Arkansas University Financial Aid Department. If they don't have the energy to open up an email, they just won't.
Do it tomorrow. God, that was our whole 4-year experience there, but yeah, so I started, like by the end of it, I'd kind of gotten into a groove about that sort of thing, and it was much easier and much better to deal with. But now that I understand, like, this is how you get things formatted. This is how you, connect with somebody who's helping you, format. This is how you work on cover design. This is, like, this is where this goes to this site and this goes to, like, all of those things. Now that those make sense, it's like, I think I could do this again tomorrow in, like, 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Not really, but it wouldn't be nearly so bad. The hardest thing was just, like, so much of the writing process is entirely you. It's just you in a room. You in a room with a keyboard or a piece of paper and a pen. But there is...
Hey, yo, Tony, I got a little piece of pen for you. I got a piece of pen and a little pad of paper. This is me in
I hate you and you're not funny.
This is me in a room, dog, and I'm writing poetry. I got a piece of pen, piece of paper, whatever the fuck.
So much of it is alone, it's just you, and you're your own boss, and you're your own, it's like a totally intimate, like self-driven activity. And then suddenly you got to talk to other people. And that's like, it's just very jarring. Like for me, even taking things to test readers, all of whom were my people that I knew and loved and trusted to tell me the truth and also tell me if I sucked. All of them, like, it was just super bizarre to like have this thing that's been, solely like insular, like be shared with anybody and like have somebody else's like thoughts and paw prints on it, Yeah. It was just like really interesting and strange in a good way, but in a way that does like take some adjusting, because then I would like read my own poems and hear like, oh, Ray said this, oh, Maggie said this here, and it's like, it's just strange to feel like another head in the room like talking at you.
Yeah, especially like contrasted with like, it's like poetry is like one of the really, really like introverted art forms, and like film is like really, really extroverted, because you have to do with like, even like the small sets where like, that I've been on, where like some directors are trying to go for like a really sort of smaller, less moving parts, like sort of intimate experience or whatever, it's still like extroverted. You still like you can't escape having like
Yeah, you know you're always
5,
playing
6
to somebody.
Yeah, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7 people, you know, and it's like a social event. And like, you know, yeah, it's really weird. Like that's why speaking of me, that's why when I changed from comics, which I like had been doing since I was like 13 to like film, I realized, oh, this is like incredibly social and I'm extremely extroverted. Why have I been like locking myself in a room to do comics this whole time?
Do comics, yeah.
Yeah. Answer was because I had no friends, but
Well, it's funny because like, well, people talk about like writing as though like you are, you know, you're always writing, you're trying to get the audience from one point to the next, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I don't feel that way when I'm writing poetry. It's usually just like I'm never like, oh, I'm gonna say this because it's tricksy and they'll think it's funny. Like I never like think that, you know. I'm always just like, what makes the most sense for the idea, and then your test readers, it's their job to be like, nobody knows what you fucking mean by this word you made up. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. You know, like, and I did make up a couple words in there that it's like, now I'm like, who the fuck do I think I am? But hey, fuck it. I liked it. So whatever. So, like when I read like, Emily,
Dickinson?
yes. Like I can totally believe that Emily Dickinson never thought anybody would read any of hers. It feels like totally, it's just about like her exploring herself and her own experience. And to me, it always reads that way. Like I know she, you know, people read it, but it's like in my head, it's just, it's perfectly fine to imagine her totally alone in her attic writing this stuff. And I think that's how I imagine every poet writing their stuff. That's never like, and I think that's probably why I'm so affronted by slam poetry. Because it's like, you can tell people off in a poem. I certainly spend plenty of the first part of this book doing that.
Some of your best poems are kind of slam poems. Well, not like, I don't know if it's like slam poems. I don't know what a slam poem is. But like diss poems, you know?
Oh yeah, some of my best poems are definitely diss tracks. Well, I think there's just like there's a place for me specifically where like I was raised to write to like really get in somebody's face and scream at them in public or even on social media and like make a fool out of myself because it's undignified. And if you're giving them that energy and that time, you know, it's whatever. But it's like I can just sit quietly to myself and like have the shower argument with myself in a poetic way, and it doesn't feel so dumb and like self-serving. But you know.
Yeah, it's a little bit like when you're saying writing for and like not really expecting anybody to see it versus like writing for like an established audience. It feels like tweeting when like none of your tweets get over like 5 likes just because you have very few people follow you or whatever, versus like tweeting as like a huge account or whatever. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, there's like certain things that I could say way back when that I can't anymore. Yeah. They just invite the wrong kind of responses.
Dude, someone was like, people have been like talking about like how like Twitter is getting like less interesting, and I think that might just be like part of it. That like everybody's accounts are just getting too big, and like, you know, you just, you know, like you could still pretty much say, you know, the same things you said, but like, you know, you can't really. It's like the bigger you are, the more scrutiny you have, so everything just sort of starts to get lamer. I feel like Eigenrobot is someone as an example, sort of like struggling and trying to like really keep his like comment section not horrible.
Yeah.
And I feel like for the most part the comment section is winning. So like sad to say, but
yeah. Well, there's like certain people that like I would like quote tweet and engage with their thoughts because I knew only like my 20 homies were going to read it.
Yeah.
But now it's like a little bit, it's more of like a call out. You know what I mean? Like if I like quote tweet somebody who I really disagree with and write like a little thread about why I disagree with them, it's like, I'll still do it, but I'm a little more careful about it. I'm a little more like particular about my wording and stuff because I understand that I'm inviting some kind of like, sometimes like really serious ideological warfare, you know?
Yeah. I saw your comment section, like you just tweeted something today and I saw it and I was like, these comments are awful. Like what's wrong with these people?
I tweeted about the culture war, it's my bad.
Well,
the sex wars.
But
the sex wars. Kind of sex wars-ish.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like, type of guy who does XYZ, and then everybody was like, oh yeah, I'm that type of guy. And I was like, this was not a positive. Like, hey, I don't But, hey. But it is funny, and I don't know, it does change, but I don't know. I've always been, you know me, I'm always like, don't say that. That's a little too much. It's like a little too inflammatory all the time. So I've been that way since I had like no followers. So
yeah.
It's a little,
and
it's
like,
not quite so bad.
I remember you being so like, we published, we're making a movie, and I published like the pitch video, and you were like, you can't say that Ted Kaczynski was right about almost everything. And I'm like, every single person who's going to donate, like I make these like jokes in front of them anyways. Like
that's a fair point. It's just my mother had to watch that videos now. Now my mom's gonna be like, "What's Ken saying about the Unabomber?" And then I've got to field that question.
Okay, although the Unabomber is more like people hear Kaczynski and they don't necessarily think Unabomber. They think, "Who's that again?"
No, I don't think that's. I think that's what you think.
Okay, I say Dr.
Because
Kaczynski, and
you
they're
don't know
like,
anything about culture, so you never know he's the
no.
Unabomber.
I quote Dr. Kaczynski all the time, and people are, and
Stop
like a lot of
calling
people
that.
are. He has a doctorate. He's literally a math doctor.
This is
wrote
like
a-
the time I called him Mr. Manhattan, and you were like his doctor. You hate academia until it's your edgelords that have the doctorate.
Okay, well, no. Okay, well, I'm doing it because I want them to consider the idea before I reveal it's the Unabomber. It's like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay, and quite a few people are like, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, So it's like,
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I'm just. You're such a fucking Aries.
Also, I would like to just point out that I'm not showing the label of the beer that I'm drinking because we don't have a sponsor yet. And if you're a beer company and you'd like to sponsor us, you can.
I would love to drink your whatever.
Yeah.
Horse piss beer. If I was gonna ever have a beer company, that's what I would call it. It's like horse piss. I'm serious.
Yeah, I feel like it's like
only.
I feel like that's a kind of all the not indie. Is it indie beers? Is that what you call it? Craft? No, it's like craft beers,
Craft
right?
beers, yeah.
All the
It
craft.
is indie beer though.
All the
It's probably a better term.
all the craft beers I see, they're all trying to be like clever and like hipster and stuff. None of them are just like Mike's Sludge or just like horse piss.
What is it? Schraderbrow
Schrader Brow?
from Breaking Bad that Hank brews in Breaking Bad.
I don't know.
Schraderbrow. It's the beer that he makes.
Oh, okay.
Fucking fake fan.
It's been a long time.
I would just like to say to the group that I've now watched Breaking Bad a whole 10 years after it was released. I'm almost done with it.
And she's
I've had a very
smug
good
about
time.
it.
It's a very good show. And I'm very smug about it. Yeah. Now I've just totally taken up the mantle of all the people who put down their Breaking Bad shill. Mm-hmm. I'm just taking that on for myself into the 2020s.
Yeah.
So nobody has to worry.
I don't think you've seen like
flame.
you still have like the last few episodes, so nobody like
Yeah. Nobody spoiled anything
it.
for me, but
yeah.
this, let's be real, this is gonna take a day or so to come out. I'll
No,
probably
it's
be
not.
done by then. Okay.
I'm publishing this today.
Oh shit, all right. You're my best friend.
So anyways, here's how my life has been going.
Yeah, so how is your life, Ken? Darling.
I was just saying that to mess with you. I wasn't actually prepared to talk about myself. But yeah, let's talk. So like the film industry. So like I live in Shreveport, right? And like
Shreveport, if you're
Shreveport, as Kersey once called it.
God.
Illiterate fuck.
Please clip that.
Oh.
Yeah. You live in Shreveport.
I live in Shreveport, aka Ratchet City, aka fourth in the nation per capita for murders, which is great.
Hey.
Which is, it makes me seem like I'm really hardcore when I'm really not. I live in like a fairly nice area in Shreveport, but anyways, I live
Yeah, you're several blocks from the gunshots.
yeah, like you can still hear it if you open your windows at night, but it's like, it's about as good as it gets. It's not loud, you know. I don't hear it with my windows closed. But I live in Shreveport, you know, and like there's like a film industry down here a little bit. And within like the past like year or so, like features have been started to get shot here in like a more serious way. And I remember last year, I think it was last year, maybe a year before, but I think it was last year that someone was like, hey, you know, there's a feature in town, they're looking for PAs, we can get you like a gig for like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. And I had to say no because I was working at Walmart, and now I'm not. So then when like the feature came around, I was able to get on, and I worked as an office PA, which is like, you know, a lot of times it's like there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of like documents and stuff. So a lot of what I'm doing is like office worker type stuff, but it's for a movie, so it's still like, I learned a lot. I didn't realize how much I had to learn about like the legal and logistics side of everything. I saw one of my coworkers filled out a Taft-Hartley, which apparently is named after a union busting act in like the 1920s, and it was to get like a non-union actor to be able to act in the union movie. And I was like, huh, okay.
A Taft-Hartley.
Taft-Hartley, yeah.
Are there any other interesting acronyms you could teach us? Acronyms, titled things that from your time as an office PA? Objection, leading the witness.
Well, no, I'm thinking how much can I tell about that? Like, if everybody saw this, they wouldn't get mad at me. Okay, yeah. So basically, like, one of my I had a boss, and I think this will be okay because I think he's like ghost mode, yeah. So, like, I don't think he's not. It's complicated, but it's gonna be harder for him to trace than you would think, basically. But it's he was like
You have to give his full legal name.
But I remember his social security number, and it was this. But no, it's but he was like he told me to go rat fuck some push pins. And I was like, rat fuck? And he's like, yeah, like steal, like rat fuck it. And I'm like, I don't know if it's stealing because we're all in the same office, but I can get some like push pins out of this office that no one's using. And he's like, yeah, go do that. And then like, he's like, but at some point today. And then like later he was like talking to like one of the like higher bosses. And I was like, hey, do you want me to go process that RF request you had me fill out earlier? And he's like, the RF? And then he started laughing. So then I made these rat fuck request forms for office supplies. And it's really funny.
And rat fuck requests in Ratchet City.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, and it was really fun. I learned a lot about, like, if you look at this is my calendar. And I stole like the giant.
I don't want to fucking do this with you anymore.
So I got some of the giant calendars, and then it wasn't actually for the right months because someone had taken the months that were upcoming. So these were like the old months that were already like done. So then I like actually have scribbled out every single one of the days and written the right dates on them. And then I have like Post-it notes and stuff. Because like, you know, it's like they say if it's not written down, it didn't happen. But I'm also realizing that when it comes to like logistics and sort of trying to plan out this really complicated thing like a movie, if it's like if it's not written down, it takes effort to think about it, right? Like it takes like effort to recall. Even if you have it on a file on your computer, it's still like, okay, where did I put that file? Whereas if it's on there, or if it's on your wall, here, I'll show you my wall for a second. This is my wall. Yeah. And those
You
are
know
all
what
like,
I call that wall?
huh?
You know what I call that wall?
What?
A cry for help.
But yeah, but these, you know, it's if you just have it all visually like on your wall and like sticky notes are in physical form, then you can like conceptualize it and think about everything earlier, like easier. So it's like the beauty of like writing everything down and wasting shit tons of sticky notes that was sort of imparted to me. And then also a lot about like the logistics work. Oh, I also realized why there's so many producers on all these films. So get this, like, I don't even think I told you about this, but it was basically like, it was like a, you know, still a fairly indie movie, even though it was like, you know, union and everything, but I was I had the chance to talk to one of the producers, and she was talking about how it got made or whatever, and she was like, yeah, well, this guy's a producer because it's basically like his idea is based off a real story, and he's like part of their family or whatever, and he's like, we should turn this into a movie. And then it's like, and then he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna hire this other producer because I know that they're good at finding like cast and crew or whatever. And then they're like, okay, well, I think we're gonna hire like, so there's like this like whole tree of like, so they've like the whole movie is like a pie. The producer is like someone who like delegates and like hires people and like manages things, right? But then sometimes they'll like be like, okay, well, I don't know like who to hire, so I'm going to delegate all of the hiring and firing. Well, not hiring and firing, but like all the, initial trying to hire people and like networking. I'm going to delegate that to another producer. And then that producer is like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to like all these different people, and like get this sorted out. But it's basically like, it's like basically like the entire movie starts out in the hands of one person. And then they delegate that to producers. But then like those producers will also delegate that to other producers who will delegate that to other people. So it's like sort of drawing, and then when they all get on set, it's like, they're sort of forwarding questions to each other and sort of having each other handle different things based on what they were hired to do and what their strengths are. So it's a really weird, interesting, like, you would think it's like...
It's interesting how not explicit, like, the role is there.
Yeah.
Because it's like one person, you're bringing on these people, who's bringing on these people, who's bringing on these people. But it's never like, what is the job description of a producer? Like, it's different for everybody.
Yeah. Because, like, some producers might be able to do, like, almost everything, right? Some, like, like... Well, like, in, like, our films, like, the producers are basically you, me, and Marina, right? Mm-hmm. And like Marina's the cinematographer, so and for this movie she's like delegating a lot of the camera department people. She's like, okay, I have homies up here and I think they'll like come with me to Shreveport to make this, so I'm gonna handle that. I'm like, okay, great. And then I'm handling like all this other stuff. But then you're also like you're as a producer, you're a lot of the times more involved in like the music and like the look of it and the initial parts of creating the story, but we're all like producer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm handling like all the finances, but it's it's all you know what I mean? But all these things are sort of just like on like a case by case, but there is no like, and part of this is because like producers like don't have a union because they're like they're like the higher up people. They never like there's no, their jobs are all so weird and mismatched. They're all like business guys technically, so none of them are like they would never like get like a union. So what is technically a producer,
more
not
like
a producer?
Contractors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, technically, all the other departments are independent contractors, right? Like all the crew and all the cast, but like they still unionize to try and like group negotiate or whatever. But when it comes to like, I'm so glad I don't work at Walmart anymore, so I can say the U word as much as I want.
Union.
Yeah.
My dad was president of a union.
Yeah.
So I have that strong fuck corporations mentality.
Yeah.
Anywhere I can get it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, since they never, so legally, like if you're a director legally, like in the union, that means you have certain responsibilities and certain rights and certain boundaries like around your job. Same thing with like everything, like, so there is technically no definition around producers' jobs. So it's sort of like, a case by case basis, which is why, some movies can have like 3 producers and some can have like 12, and it really is just like,
case by case. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super interesting. I actually really like to ask Brooke if that's how kind of like how Vibe Camp happened, because she's like,
ooh, yeah.
Because she's like, well, I have the idea, and then she talks to people, and then it's like, well, I don't know how to do this, but I know people who have done it before, so get them on board, because like a movie is so complicated, it's very rare for. I mean, there's like at low level, you get a lot of people who do everything, like the. Excuse me.
Well, it seems like the higher you go, the less hats you wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more you're paid to wear the single hat.
Yeah.
But also the more, like, the more specialized and, like, skilled they expect you to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've never done any film, any short film, any film, period, where I didn't do my own makeup.
Yeah.
However, if I was on, like, a real set, that would never happen. I would never touch a makeup brush.
Yeah, and it would also be to the point where it would be like, if you did want to, like, the makeup artists would, like, could complain. Or, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, someone was just telling me, he was like, yeah, every time you see, like, a director of photography handling their own camera on a union set, that means that somewhere there is, like, a camera operator who is doing nothing, who is just sitting around collecting a paycheck. You know?
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts to think about.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you know, like Deacons was saying, like, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, you do want to have a camera operator, but at the same time, sometimes it's just so complicated. The only way you can really get it is to just do it yourself.
Do it yourself.
Yeah. So, but, you know, it's like special cases. But yeah. So it's like, but at the, you know, top, it's like, so at the, you know, near the bottom, it's like, you know, I've technically produced, I've directed, I've done, like, camera work, I've done, like, lighting work, I've done sound, I've done, like, you know, but at the same time, when it gets to, like, the really high level stuff, you know, there's very few things that I'm able to do at that level, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if because everyone's reputation is riding on how the project turns out, so everyone wants to, like, you know, it's like, yeah, you could find a crew, but can you find the best crew for this job for the cheapest amount? And it's like, or are you going to, like, delegate someone who's really known for specializing in that, you know? So it's like the whole logistics and management of it. There are specialists even in that, you know? So.
Oh yeah, and, like, you know, the as, like, we from movie to movie to movie have gotten better and better and better with each movie, and we've also been like, each movie we're like, that's why that usually has a person doing that job. Like, you know, we're like, that's why people have an AD. Oh, that's why people have a so and so. Because as you, like, scale up, like, you do need more moving parts, and you need more like eyes on that one job. Like, you know, ADs keeping everybody, like, on task, and then, you know, grips who know how to move their own lights, you know, who don't just have to, you know, pretty much be, like, coached by the gaffer, you know, and stuff like that. But I think that's what makes film really cool in a, like, way that, at least compare it to what I did most of the time, which was theater, which is like theater, you have months to get everything nailed down, and then you do it a couple times and then you close the show. But with film, it's like you show up and then it's like make it work the day of, and then you move on. Like there's but there's this, like, a little bit more of a collaborative effort, because in theater it's like the actors and the director, the actors, like, but the actors will never talk to the set designer, will never talk to the charge painter, will never talk to the costumer until they're being fitted. Like, you know, you just don't see, like, the creative design that way unless the director just really feels like letting you in on the process, which is not often. Usually they're like, wear the fucking clothes and dance and sing, you know. So like, you know, they're like a dance monkey. But that's what's kind of cool about film, is that, like, I may not see, like, the storyboards, but I will, you know, in talking to the director and talking to the DP and a shot of me or whatever, get an idea for, like, oh, this is what we're looking for, yada yada, which is cool. And then I'd also, you know, when I think about, like, major productions and I watch something like a GoPro strapped to a shovel on Breaking Bad, I just get infinitely more confused, because I'm like, who wasn't consulted? I'll tell you who, me.
Yeah, that was like,
you know, like,
that was like a
it's
point in Breaking Bad. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? There was literally a shot where this character's, you know, they put a GoPro on a shovel, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Like,
there are a couple of moments where, like, they do, like, really weird flashy cinematography, but it works, you know, like, you can see they've taken the wall out of certain places in order to get a camera, like, view of the top of the toilet, because that's where the plot MacGuffin kind of is. And like, you're like, all right, you know, neat, cool. And then you'll see, like, a shot where it's just so extra for no reason, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, like, what are we doing
There's
here?
just strange flourishes in strange places, you know?
Yeah. And, like, breaking, like, you know, TV shows, you get a different director for everything, for every episode.
Yeah, which is insane.
It
is totally insane.
I don't even, like, understand why anyone.
Well, one of the reasons I remember, like, people talked about, like, the reason that one of the reasons that 50 Shades of Grey 2 and 3 were shot by E.L. James's husband or directed by E.L. James's husband, besides the obvious connection there, was that he was used to directing for like CSI, Law and Order, stuff like that. So he's used to picking up like established characters, established sets. Everybody that works like costumes, the actors, they all know what's going on. So it's basically his job just to pick up and not break style. So that was like, he picked up after one and said like, we're just going to keep it going, but there wasn't any heart to it because he didn't understand why the choices were made creatively for the first movie, which is super fascinating to think about. Like, I can't imagine as an actor being directed by a different director
like
every
cargo cult
episode.
directing almost.
Yeah, and then also people who are like a set job, like we're set meaning like it doesn't change, episode to episode. Like the costumers will always be the same, the actors will always be the same, the whatevers will always be the same. Like those people actually have way more say than they would in like an original production because like you're not going to tell me, Mr. Director Man, who my character is. I've been playing this character for 10 years. My name's Mariska Hargitay, and I am Law and Order SVU. You know what I mean? So it's a super like different weird flip of the dynamic when it works that way.
Yeah, and like I don't know, maybe I'll understand more if I like work on some like TV shows and understand like different directors coming in and out and like what the crew like says about them like behind their backs. I guess not that anyone talks bad about each other in the film industry, but yeah.
I don't ever.
But like,
I will say there's something really cute about like Shreveport being like the little tiny community it is where everybody knows everybody because like if somebody you don't like fucks up, you will hear about it in like a really obvious way, and it's super funny. But for the most part, I would say what is prized most highly in the small community is like heart and the willingness to show up and try and care. And so if you're really like being a good egg about it, a good faith actor, like nobody's gonna really jump you too hard.
Oh no, yeah. And like I was thinking, I've been thinking a lot. Like one of the things.
Listen, I've been thinking
having thoughts, and like I feel like when you're like just starting out in indie, it's like there's this idea that like there's this thing that's like really common, and that's like, okay, well, there'll be people on set, and then everyone will be like pitching in, and it's like, okay, well, we don't have this, so like, okay, well, we don't have enough grips, so it's like, okay, well, I'll help and I'll
go grip. Yeah.
Well, like I'll help move things and I'll help load everything up, and it's like, I'll do this. It's like, well, I'm like customer, but I'll like do this, and it's like, well, I'm like technically producing, but I can also like stand in for you really quick. You know what I mean? And like things like that, because you don't have the money to have like every hat that because it's like
you really would like to have,
the two features I worked on this year. One of them, the crew was like 7 people. And the other one, it was like 70, like on set. So it's like, it's like a big difference,
Well, it's so like, I remember like the first time we did something in college and they were like, yeah, so if you were a stand-in, this is what you would do here. And I was like, a stand-in? And they were like, yeah, so that way that the camera focus people can do all of their stuff and the lighting and the setup, and that way they're the same color as you and the same height, blah, blah, blah. And then you can be back in your trailer, like, in the AC, and I was like, that is the most decadent thing, because when you're in theater,
it's also
if you're doing like a hang and focus, like, bitch, you got to be there.
Okay,
ain't nobody standing in for you.
But it's also so that you can get dressed and so you can get mic'd up and so you can go through hair and makeup.
Oh yeah, so, I know. It's just like it's just crazy. It's just like, to me, the idea is so like, because in theater you just do not have that. Like if they're doing a hang and focus, congratulations, that's you in that fucking uncomfortable costume standing while they focus lights on you in the heat of those lights for 2 hours, if that's what it fucking takes. While the director's yelling at the lighting designer who's up on an A-frame ladder 40 feet in the air, going like, tighter, no, less, like that's, and you're just, that's what you're doing that day. Like that's what you're doing during tech week, is you're just standing there.
Yeah. But also it's like, but I mean, that is really just something that's like a hiring just like a completely new person and going through all that paperwork and the union and everything versus like, like stand-ins, which help, everybody not get held up in production. Because it's like hair and makeup and sound can do their jobs well, without every other department waiting on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, not every other, but like, most of the, like, all the cameras, all the directors, stuff like that. So it's actually like probably a huge time save, but yeah, it's but yeah, so like there's this like, well, like going sort of back it's, you know, in indie, it's like, you know, everyone's going to do everything. Everyone wears 1,000 hats. And I feel like as like the older I get and the more experience I have, the more I sort of prefer like, because there's like the union thing is like everybody stay in their lane or you can get fined or you will like can get fired. You know, it's like stay in your lane or else. And like that's a little bit extreme, you know, like, but at the same time, like, and it can go like, you know, to the point of like insanity. Well, not insanity, but like, you know, sort of extreme comical examples that people have. But at the same time, I think I'm starting to tend more towards us, you know, stay in your lane. Everybody has their own job because it makes it less like stressful. And so it's like, okay, my job is in my department and I can, to a certain extent, control my department. And our problems are our problems. And even if like, so it sort of protects you from like other departments like falling down, you know, like, you know, I'm like, and a lot of times as a sound guy, at like really at the level I'm at, I'm like the only sound guy on set. So I'm doing the labs and I'm doing the boom and I'm, you know, mixing or whatever, like all by myself. And, you know, at the end of the day, I just give the card to the DIT and then, you know, that's it. But so if I'm in my own department, it's like, okay, I think about what's going to happen. I communicate with people and then it's like, I'm good. So if like, you know, if the director's late or like, you know, other people aren't doing their jobs, it's very easy to, you know, like that doesn't have to be my problem, I guess. And it's also just like, like, I don't know. I feel like it almost like works better. I feel like people have more, and this isn't like trash talking anyone or whatever. It's just, I'm like, cause I understand like, you know, we were on like a 7-person crew. Like that's like for like a 14-day feature film, that's like pretty insanely low. Like we have like twice that many people, I think, for our short films than they did for the feature. So it's like, you know, everyone's wearing a lot of hats and it's like, you know, and like, so like, you know, a lot of people do like to work like that, but I also think it's like, I do think that it can help things go like more.
Well,
polished.
you know, I can just speak to my own experience. Like it was easier to act when I didn't have to worry about other people doing their job.
It
like,
is.
if I got to show up to set and like somebody put me in my costume, somebody put me in my hair and makeup, somebody mic'd me up, and I was just sitting there, I would have all that time to sit and focus on what I was doing. And instead of being like, oh wait, I've got to keep an eye on this, I've got to keep an eye on that, I've got to, you know, all these other stuff that I usually do on our sets, which is fine. I'm perfectly happy to do them and within my capability of giving a stunning performance anyway. But you know, it's just like, it's one of those things I'm like, wow, decadent. Look at you. Oh. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I don't know, I think for people who, if you've never done anything kind of like guerrilla projects, stuff like film, it's like really like a totally unique experience. Like with a friend of ours that I brought on to work on Value In, who had never done anything, he was like, I would never want to do this again. He was like, but it is really sick to watch you guys like all be really good at what you're doing and like focused and like it's like the way you all communicate and everything. He was like, that was like super interesting to watch. And I was like,
yeah,
it's true.
It's like a machine made out of people. It's like, it's so, I feel like there is like this certain point where it's like hard to separate like the logistics from the it's like the art from the artisanship, you know? And it's like,
yes,
you know, because there's just like, there's like tech heads and there's like, you know, guys like talking shop about like cameras the same way they do cars. Like, there was like a FedEx guy who shot weddings and he came in and like, he saw our DP and he's like, oh, you got like these lenses or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah. And they're like, there's a lot of bang for your buck. And it's like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. You know, I like doing this. I like doing that. You know, and they're just like, it's like talking like gear, you know, like guys do about cars, and there's like the art and stuff, and then there's like, but it all becomes, I feel like it's so hard to like really like draw a line, I feel, because it's like on the one hand, it's like, yeah, doing paperwork and like filing for insurance is not like artistic, and yeah, like crying on command is not like manual labor, but I feel like there's like a lot more overlap than you would think.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah.
It's emotional labor. No, but seriously though, it's like
well, I don't know about overlap. There's a lot of gray in between, you know. Like as a sound guy, there's like decisions that you make that you think that you want to like.
Yeah, and we've certainly run into people who are more technicians than artists. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there is a certain you can be a technician and like disregard the art, and you can be an artist and disregard like the technical side of things. But at the same time, I feel like it's so much of it's so like non-separate and like a continuum. Am I like a non-dual? Am I like a film non-dualist? Is this what I'm trying to say? I don't even know what that word means.
No, but like I think there's some truth to that, because like the better you understand the tech, the better you can create the art. But
yeah,
what is the tech if not in service of the art?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So it is one of those fields where it's like, I keep comparing it to theater because that's what I know, but also it's probably the closest comparison, I guess, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like as far as like how a production operates, like with people and it's like moving parts and stuff. But like, in theater, like it's there are like it's the same way. Like you can be a lighting designer and have to understand like all of the lights and how they work and the color theory and all that shit or whatever. But at the same time, like you have to have like a vision for what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
Like I did a production one time of a Christmas Carol, and we had a really lighting designer. Love this guy, super nice. So we had obviously Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, Future, right? Well, the colors he went with were past was yellow, present was purple, and future was green. Do you see a problem there? Mardi Gras. It just looked like Mardi Gras. So, so it was like very strange, like this British, like, I don't know, not folk tale, but, like very serious IP, British IP. And then like we had these like Mardi Gras color scheme going on that was really funny. But it's like, you know, on their own, yellow is perfect for the past. It's very warm, you know, it's very like ambery yellow. And then present being like, I don't know where you got purple, I guess, but green being the future, being very ominous and gross because that's where Scrooge is heading and it's not great. And it was very spooky the way that we staged it or whatever. And so it was just like, like we ended up with this like, okay, where's the king cake for little Timmy, Tiny Tim to like cut open?
Yeah.
I hope he gets a new leg or whatever.
Okay, I need to pee. I will be right back. Leave
I'm also probably gonna grab a snack.
Okay, just leave everything recording. Let's not cut or anything. Makes it easier.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. Please cut that.